Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 38 of the Tait Talks podcast. I am the host, as always, Tait Middleton. I don't know how I fucked that up. Today I'm speaking to David Hughes. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Pretty good. We've been chatting for an hour, so we are nice and warmed up.
Yeah.
You are a professional comedy writer.
Am I?
Yes.
No, I am, yes.
Yes, you are. And you are here today to talk about how you got to that point, everything in between, which we have We're actually going to do multiple parts today.
Because we've been trying to do this for about 8 weeks.
Yeah,
And
yes.
you're always too busy, so...
Yeah, I know. I'm like wife, kids, all that type of jazz.
Fucking rubbish.
The private jets, the cocaine, someone's got to do it. Let's start. How did you get into writing? How did you get into comedy writing, for one?
Well, I got into writing first when... so, like I told you, I was traveling for a while.
Yeah.
And I just used to... I kept a diary, but do you remember when Facebook had that thing where it was just like a notes section, so you could just keep this little thing?
Yeah,
I just did that, and then I put it on a WordPress document, WordPress blog thingy.
Yep.
You know what a blog is? Everyone does.
Yeah.
So I did that for a bit, and then that's where it started, and it just somehow started to get like a bit of traction and stuff, and I ended up getting a very terrible but first book deal from that.
Wait, you wrote a book?
5 of them, yeah.
But Jesus.
I wrote a little series called The Last Clean Shirt. Okay. That was that basically just said, if you take it down off the public domain, we can publish it. If you write it and make it not a shitty blog but make it a book, we'll publish that. So we did it in 3 parts.
Did you have any writing knowledge at all? You just
I read a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm not educated in the slightest.
Yeah. So wait.
Pretty
so
fucking
no
stupid.
university.
No.
Literally just had the knack for it. Started and went from there.
Yeah. You say the knack for it. I think because when my traveling started, I was very much into stuff like. Have you ever read Bill Bryson?
I haven't read any books.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not one of them people.
Okay, well, Bill Bryson is a very funny travel writer, and he has a book called Neither Here Nor There, which was literally the thing that made me go, oh, you need to leave England and just go and see more stuff.
Really?
That was the book that made me do it, and I probably adapted a little bit of his like style as well, as we all do, to begin with. If I read them now, those books are probably a lot like some of his stuff, but just like a very heavily discounted version of it. But that was where the writing started. It was, if you want to go right back, it was I met my grandmother when I was about 22, 23 years old, and she had Alzheimer's.
Oh,
and she'd suffered from like 2 strokes as well, I think.
Yeah.
She couldn't speak, I know that much. And I remember thinking like how shit it would be. At that time, I was planning my travels, and I thought, how shit would it be if I do all of this cool stuff and I've got no memory or recollection of it. I thought, well, at least this way my kids can like read that bit about me climbing Machu Picchu and falling asleep because I was drunk in an Inca house. And I thought, well, I don't want to forget everything. So I started journaling then, and then I don't know. I guess I just thought this would be a cool thing to do while I'm just doing everything.
Yeah. And obviously from there, it's pretty crazy that that's like now, I suppose, the base of your career.
Yeah.
It's just you were like, just travel, just writing about your travels.
Yeah, pretty much.
And the good thing is, you enjoy your travels, and then it's so fresh in your mind that you're just repeating what's happened. Obviously, so is it like was it comedy styled? I mean,
because I always just thought like everything needs to be kind of like funny to be engaging. That's obviously not true necessarily, but if you're a great writer, and obviously I wasn't, and I don't think I am. I think I just can extract the funny from stuff and then make a note of it. So that's what I was doing. I was just trying to be entertaining to the few people that I thought might read these things.
Yeah.
And then my social media blew up from about 2013 or 14 or so.
Yeah.
And the first book, I believe, came out 2012. So I always thought of it as like a marketing tool for that. But then as my Twitter especially started to just go a bit nuts, I was like, oh, this is a really good opportunity to use these, the accounts of like traveling and stuff, and use these and then show people that there might be some value in like following this cunt and trying to entertain them.
Yeah. So you've built up your following and stuff. It's interesting because I've never been much into social media, but for your selling the book and helping build your brand,
Yeah.
it works wonders? Or is it just a byproduct of putting a product out there that people want, and then they're like, I want to keep up to date with this person?
Yeah, I think it's
Or
more
cunt,
that.
as you said.
It's more like if you use it as a marketing tool, it doesn't really work.
Yeah,
like
okay.
if you can have like 1 million followers. If you're constantly going, buy my shit, download my stuff, download this thing, like people don't really give a shit about that. Most people just follow guys or girls or whatever because they want free fucking jokes every day. You know? That's what I did.
Yeah.
When I started Twitter, I wasn't doing anything. I found all these funny people and I was just like going, I get free stuff every day. This is just like, you know, the
entertainment.
Yeah. And then you go, actually, I could probably do this. Let me try it.
Yeah.
And that's where that happened. But I don't really like social media too much, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, you just enjoy telling your jokes, I guess.
Yeah. I try and, you know, engage with people and stuff because that's what, that's what you should do, but it's fucking exhausting.
Yeah. Well, you have over 100,000 Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is, I mean, that's a lot of fucking people.
Yeah, it's I mean, yeah, it is, but it's also like you can either get like really consumed with it, as a lot of people do, or you can treat it for what it is, which
like the scum that they are.
Yeah, subhuman scum. But I mean, for Twitter, especially for me, for ages was like a little like tester. It was a little like notebook. I could write these jokes and then put them out there, and if they work, they work, and if they don't, like, I guess that was funny to me, and it's not funny to anyone else. So it was pretty good for that, but I do struggle with, like, you know, everyone commenting and shit, and you have to keep up with that.
Yeah. So do you, obviously anything you do it's seen by X amount of people, then other people will comment and blah blah blah. Do you actively have to write shit? Like if someone goes, hey, fucking David, really enjoyed that, do you have to be like, cheers, mate?
I do it like way less than most people, I think, especially most people with a big following. They like to do it because if you keep that engagement going, that's how you grow. But I got to a point maybe like 2 years ago where I stopped focusing on that because what happens with Twitter especially is that when somebody sees that you can do this every day consistently for X amount of years, they may have only just found you, but they can go back to like 2013 when you started and go, oh, this dude just fucking never stops. I'll pay him to do it for me. And that's pretty much what happens. Like somebody will employ you to either run their account or to, you know, write on something else, whether it's a panel show or write articles for them and stuff. Yeah. So the more people started asking me to do that, I was like, I can't, like, I have to come up with, you know, joke packets, we call them, for like, you know, maybe 20 original jokes per week for this guy, for this guy, for this guy. So you're writing like 200 or 300 jokes. You don't really have time for yourself. So what I was doing at one point, I still kind of do it now, is the stuff that people don't buy. I look at and I go, can I use this? It's kind of in my voice. Like it could be, I can change it and make it in my voice. Because you might have written it for, you know, like a parenting website or a dating website or something, but you can change it around a little bit and keep it for yourself. So I do it's a bit of a cop out, but I do that a little bit now. Yeah. Because the time that it takes to do it is like fucking crazy.
I'm just curious to see, like, you know how you said joke packets and you write for other accounts and this and that. Yeah. How do you work out a fee? You know what I mean? Do they say, we will give you this money?
Well, initially, no one wants to pay you anything. Until someone does. And then as soon as someone does, then you start getting a little braver / understanding that there is money. Like the first time I was asked to write for anyone, they were basically like, oh, we can't afford to pay you. That's not really in the budget, but, you know, we do it for exposure and all this shit. And when you're young, fresh and all this sort of thing, you're like, yeah, no, I do. I need their 200,000-300,000 followers or whatever. You don't really think about ad revenue and the fact that they do have a budget for this. Most people do have a budget for this. And then as soon as you get paid for it, you go, oh, hang on a second. These cunts are going to give me like $100 per joke, and you guys have been giving me like nothing for 6 months. So the next time it comes around, you're like, I'll do them, but like I want this. And then you start getting like retainer fees from other bigger places as well, where they'll just pay you to just be there. Like you'll get like a staff writer fee, which isn't a lot. Like in most cases, it's like maybe 100 or 150 US.
Well, that's just fucking unprofessional. That was my phone. Sorry.
Was it important though?
Yeah. We'll never know.
It's not even saved.
Yeah.
Not important.
No, it's some scumbag as well. Fucking.
Fuck 'em.
So sorry. Back to the fee.
So you like some places will pay you a retainer fee, which is, it can be as little as about $50 or as much as like, you know, or in my experience, like $200 or $300, just as like a staff writer fee.
So how often would you get that?
Every week.
Every week? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But, you know, and that helps with then turning other stuff down, which is free.
Yes.
Because you know, initially you're like, no, if someone wants me to write for them and going to put my name to it, I should do it. Yeah. And I was like that for the longest time. And then it was, you know, if someone's going to pay me to write something, I should do it because that's what I want to do. I want to be that. And then you start to, as you know, as work increases, then you can then prioritize and go, okay, but realistically, they want to pay me like basically fucking peanuts to do what's going to take me like 6 hours.
Yeah.
Whereas these guys, I can do this job in about 20 minutes. And they're going to pay me like $1,000. Like I'm just going to do that instead.
Yeah.
So it's not like, it's hard, basically it's hard is my point. Like negotiating those kind of fees is very difficult to begin with, especially as no one wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to tell you what a, you know, suitable fee is for writing an article. First time I wrote an article, I think was for like Playboy or something like that. Like when Playboy were doing like their like funny stuff.
Yeah.
I think I got like fucking $50 or something.
Yeah.
And then, you know, other places will ask you to do something and it's X amount of words and it's like $200 or $250. And you're like, well, why was I saying yes to that? It's because you don't know.
Playboy too. Yeah. Like a gazillion dollars.
Exactly. Yeah. It varies as well. Like
self-worth with money is one of the hardest things.
Oh, it really is. Yeah. It really is. And there was this animation studio that I was working with. It was a YouTube animation studio, which, fuck it, I'm going to name them because they were terrible. But it's Pencilmation, right? And they have this. They have millions of subscribers, followers. They get hundreds of millions of views on their videos. So obviously they have massive ad money.
Yeah.
And there was this character called Pencilmation. He's like the protagonist of this thing. And the genius of it is that there's no language. It's like Pingu. So it's universal, right? Everyone watches this fucking stuff, but it is dog shit. And the guy asked me if I would write some scripts for him, and I said yeah. And he said we'll pay you $700 per script. Mm-hmm. And I was like, $700 per script, especially at that time as well, because I was working in a warehouse, getting like probably that a week, maybe a little bit more than that a week, because I was completely unskilled. And I was like, oh yeah, absolutely. And I can do like 2 of these a week. And then suddenly I'm balling, and that's with nothing else going on, just with these 2. So I did that for a bit. And then I kind of got a little bit greedy because I was like, this is taking me some time as well, time and effort. And I didn't like doing it. Yeah. So I upped the fee a bit, and then they just went, we can't afford that. Yeah. And I just, so I've talked myself out of jobs as well, but I've also, I think there's been plenty of occasions where you comes in with an offer and it's like more than you could imagine. You go, yes, absolutely.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then you kind of regret it afterwards because you're like, fuck, how much could I actually have gotten from you? Yeah. I don't mean that in a greedy way either. My time is the most valuable thing to me. Yep. And I think it really is to everyone, but I think it takes a little while to understand, and that's what it is. Especially if you have like I have a kid, I have a 5-year-old. So I want to spend as much time at home with him as I possibly can. Yeah. And that doesn't include working for I don't want to work like 10 hours a day and be out of the house from 7 a.m. till, 5 p.m. or whatever. That's not my jive at all. I can't do that. So time is the thing. So whenever I can accept a job and know that it's going to, cover bills or whatever for like however long, that's what I do. I go, oh, this means that I don't have to do too much over this next period.
Yes.
So
how do you get from so you get a job, right? If I could, through a script or whatever. Yeah. What do they give you?
So are we talking script writing like TV now? Or?
Yeah. Okay, actually, I think we'll save that for later. Okay. So I'm jumping too far ahead. What I want to chat about is what do you reckon the influences for your stand-up and humour and stuff would be? Or do you have any?
I think the earliest person I enjoyed, like we mentioned earlier, was like Billy Connolly. He was the first person that I saw really kind of animated on stage, and he was swearing, he was saying fuck a lot, and I was like, this is amazing. I think I really appreciated what he was at the time because I was very young. So obviously he's been around for like 400 years.
Yeah. Is he still alive?
Yeah, he's quite sick now. I believe Parkinson's
he's been sick for like a long time.
Yeah, but he's rich. So if you're rich and you're sick, it's fine.
You get an extra 20 years out of it. Yeah.
Oh, he's a treasure though, that man. I hope he. Yeah. Anyway, so I enjoyed him at first, and then I had a very rough upbringing myself, and I remember learning that about him, and he was like, he's like it's like the light at the end of the tunnel. Like this man is
Yeah.
happy and he's entertaining people, and I thought that was like he was an illustration basically that if someone can go through hell and come out the other side, and it's not like the end of the world if you're in a bit of a shit spot.
Yeah.
So he was like maybe not inspirational to comedy, but just in general to like getting through the first half of a shitty life.
Yeah.
Like he was definitely like a pinnacle for that.
So you had a rough childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty rough.
Yeah. So did that so you reckon that has, as you said, Billy Connolly was someone that you liked, and he got through the fucking shitty times. And
Yeah.
he was a big fucking happy guy on stage. He seems like he's pretty fucking jovial.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was like a big thing too, was knowing that he did that.
Yeah.
I thought, well, like, oh, you could do that too. If you can talk about what you've gone through in the right way, then you can show other people that, especially younger people who, it's a cycle. It never fucking ends.
Yeah.
That like the bit that you're in now is just the bit that you're in now. Like you're going to become an adult at some point, and
you can change your fortunes.
Yeah, and you're going to get taller, and people aren't going to be so scary anymore, and you can go and do your own thing.
Yeah.
But when you're a kid, like that seems impossible.
Yeah, true. It's like it's hard to even look as like I'm 31 now.
Yeah.
And it's hard to look. Maybe COVID's probably dampened it even a bit more, but it's kind of hard to look for myself even a year in advance, because it's always
it's a
there's
good
things
point.
I would like to do and stuff like
and
that.
There's so much uncertainty, isn't there?
Yeah. So
like you were talking about. Actually, I think it was on the. I don't think we were talking about. I think you were talking about on the podcast with Conway about. Yeah, he was saying he wants to go back to the US, and he was saying about visas and stuff. And but not only with the uncertainty of being a certain age and all that sort of stuff, it's what's going to happen with borders and
it's hard. Like it's just it's hard to like. We're trying to go to one of my mates' 40th next year in New Zealand. We were like, oh, it'd be cool to go over to that. And then my mate just sent me a message before saying it's closed until April, and we're just like, fuck. So his birthday was in Feb.
Yeah.
So all that shit, you're like, oh no, it's getting towards progressing. It's better. It's fucking. We're gonna get into this. We can travel, do this, and then it's like, nope. This country's doing that now because of COVID.
And that's the thing as well. Like we're all doing different things. Like as countries are concerned, everyone's doing like a different thing. I remember it was very recently. One of my friends got married in England. The wedding was in Norway, and then they had, because his wife is Norwegian, and then they had another sort of celebration in London about a month or two later. Yeah. And I was unable to go to both of them because I was unvaxxed, and there was I'm not an anti-vaxxer, by the way. Just talk more on that later. But yeah, I was unvaxxed. I still am. And then, like quarantine and all that sort of stuff, like coming back, I was like, oh man, this is, especially the London part, like going to London for the reception, like which was after the fact, was like, I'm going for like a day for a party, and it's going to cost me thousands and thousands of dollars in like flights and quarantine there or on the way back. I wasn't sure. Yeah. I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's just, you don't know what's going on. So you just go, fuck it, I'll just stay here then.
Yeah, well, the good thing about Western Australia is
it's nice.
And it's up and running.
Yeah,
like my mates didn't do any stand-up in 2021, realistically. They did that fucking shit Zoom stuff. And if there's a person listening, and I don't know your mentality, maybe you've done it, but this is just me. If you're doing or trying to do Zoom comedy shit, just stop.
I've never entertained the idea, and I think even if we were shut down, like we were talking earlier about, I've been very fortunate, been able to do like a lot of gigs in this first year that I've been doing it. Make no mistake, there's other reasons why. One is because we're here, right? I'm not getting paid gigs over like East or anywhere like that. That's not happening for me. And two, and I think most importantly, is that because this scene is happening and hasn't really come to a standstill at all, there's been all the opportunities for me to take all the gigs in the world. Yeah. So it's definitely been beneficial to people like me, like new to comedy, while the rest of the fucking world is shut down and people are coming to gigs literally because they're going, oh, we're still allowed outside. Yes, it's a big thing. Yeah, it's crazy. But also fuck your Zoom gigs. I can't imagine doing that. What's the fucking point? What is, I do Zoom, Zoom fucking, I chatted to one of my mates yesterday on the phone, and every second word it was fucking stuffing up, and then he's laughing, and I'm like, did this cunt just say a joke, or is he having a stroke, or I don't know what's going on now, and it's dumb. It's like, but it's stage time. Where's the fucking stage, you fucking there's
people?
No stagecraft. Yeah. You're not learning anything from... Well, I don't think you can learn anything from doing that other than just doing material that you're either working or happy with to get paid for. Because I know people get paid for those Zoom gigs, right?
Some do.
Yeah.
But
Well, this was the other thing. Like, somebody did invite me to one of these things, or maybe it was one of the VR things or whatever, and they were like, "Oh, it's unpaid." I'm like, "Look, I'm not saying I should be paid for everything that I do.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
why would I do this of all fucking things when I can go and do actual live comedy right now?"
Yeah.
That's what I didn't understand.
It's insane. I get it that people... The reason this podcast started was because of COVID.
Yeah.
Like, there was just nothing to do back home in Victoria.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, fuck, I'll just chat to people. I can chat one-on-one with someone. And then the idea at the start was like, oh, even if it doesn't work, I can do it over Zoom and stuff. And then I listened to a couple and saw them and stuff like that. I'm like, there's no rapport. There's no fucking...
When you're not face to face. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you don't get those little sub hints of like, you ask a question and someone's like,
yeah.
you know, you're like, I don't really want to answer that. And you're like, all right, fine.
And also, when you... I don't know about you, but if I listen to a podcast and the first thing I hear is that they are via Zoom, and I don't mean like announced it, but you can hear that there's like, oh, it sounds like you're on the other end of a phone.
Yes.
I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not listening. I need to really, really want to listen to that guest.
Yes.
Like, I need to be 100% invested in that guest
Yeah.
to carry on listening to that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I want to hear that you're in the same room.
Yeah.
I know it's not like, you know, it's not ideal all the time, but that's what I want.
Yeah, I would. This is honest. If someone was like, "Hey, you could talk to, let's say, someone with a bit of like fucking a sports star or something like that," I honestly think I would go, you know what? If the opportunity is for me to chat to that person via Zoom, there should be an opportunity somehow, somewhere, sometime
To do it in
in the
person.
future that I could do it in person, and
Yeah.
I will save that interview.
Yeah, I'll bank
Because,
that,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know, like there's a few of my mates have done like UFC fighters and stuff like that, which is fucking sick, and they've actually worked out quite well because they're good at the tech side.
Yeah.
I'm not,
Okay,
and
yeah.
I know I would fuck it up,
Yeah.
and then I'm losing it. But I would be like, you know, I'll wait 2 years and I'll be like, hey, can I chat to you in person? I'll come to this and we'll work that out. But the Zoom stuff just doesn't work for me. And comedy, live comedy, like don't even
Yeah.
kid yourself. It's a fucking joke.
Like, where's the atmosphere? It's not... Yeah.
No, it's like half the reason that shit's funny is because someone laughs like a fucking horse. You know,
Yeah.
it's all that type of shit. So it's, I mean, it's just me. I like being in the room for.
Yeah,
I even
absolutely.
struggle with specials.
Watching them.
Yeah, I have to like immerse myself in like I don't watch them with other people because if they don't laugh at that joke, then I'm like, well, was that funny? I have to.
Yeah.
It has to be all my reactions.
Yeah.
And I had to be like, all right, this is 100%.
That's
and
weird. I like doing that too. I actually like watching them in bed by myself
Yeah.
on my laptop.
Yeah.
Rather than like, you know, in the front room on the TV or whatever. Especially my wife's got the weirdest sense of humor ever, and she doesn't like half the shit I like.
Yeah, well,
So yeah, exactly that. I don't want to sit there and be like, what the fuck aren't you laughing?
Yeah, yeah, and then you laugh at something real fucked,
Yeah.
and they're like, my like kind of, that was my go-to for like a second date, would be a comedy club.
Yeah.
And I just see what
Yeah.
first one was out like is dumb because you don't get to chat to them.
Yeah.
So you're like, well, we can sit here for an hour and a half and listen to comedy.
But we're just lying to each other in that first date all the time anyway.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's a job interview for a different type of job.
Yeah.
You know? And then it's fucking, you go to a comedy show, second or third date, and you watch what they laugh at. You're like, oh, this bitch is sick.
Yeah.
You're going to like this.
Yeah.
You know, so that type of shit. But it's, comedy for me has to be live.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's probably changed a lot too with memes and stuff coming
Yeah.
around. You know, like you do a lot of jokes on Twitter and stuff like that,
Yeah.
which they're not memes, but they are fucking.
I mean, yeah, they're a
The type
of
of
meme, I
meme,
guess.
yeah, I don't know, yeah. But yeah, it's that type of short, sharp, bam. Like, I suppose it really wouldn't existed if. Well, I mean, the internet's probably more the main thing of that, isn't it?
What's that, like the brevity of...
Yeah, technology catching up to, you can open your phone and look at images,
Yeah.
you can look at that small things of writing and stuff, whereas,
Yeah.
and it's in your pocket and it's all built perfectly to do
and
it.
now we have like 8 different apps, like just all basically for that.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't matter what you try and make an app for. Like, I don't know what Instagram was initially designed for, but I mean, let's be fair, most of us are just sharing memes on it.
Yeah, pretty much,
I
yeah.
think, you know, there was a little period where people were taking pictures of their lunches or something, but now it's, you know,
Yeah.
90% of the accounts I follow are just people sharing funny shit. That's all I want to see.
Yeah.
Entertain me for free.
That's pretty much what it is now, though.
Yeah.
Entertain me for free.
Yeah.
And the videos and whatever they are now digestible to be done so quick.
Yeah.
If a video is longer than about 15 seconds, I'm out.
Oh, same. And like when someone sends me something and they go, "Oh, watch this, it's hilarious," and I look at it, it's like 2 minutes 20. I'm like, fuck off, man. Do you hate me?
Yeah,
like, what the fuck?
I've got that's potentially like 10 different videos of different shit. Don't give me that.
Or if someone like actually holds their phone to you, like, and goes, "Oh, look at this." I quite literally touch the screen and I'll see how long it is. I'm like, "I'm sorry, I don't want to watch this fucking video of your kid." Fuck off.
Yeah. You did mention that you were homeless, which I just want to, like, I know we didn't touch it on the podcast, but obviously you went from shitty childhood.
I went from shitty childhood that I thought I'd probably die if I stayed where I was, so I left it. Yeah. I thought the better option was just to live on a street. Because being like it was pretty horrible, like with my mum, and then her point was like, you know, different boyfriends and stuff like that. It was just a very dangerous place to be. So I thought I'll probably end up getting killed here. Yeah. So I just thought that the best option was to leave, even if that meant sleeping rough, which it did a lot of the time. But because I, like, in the town that I grew up in, I ended up sleeping in like community centers, and I'd break into my school and stuff, and I would just there was plenty of other places to kind of sleep, and then like friends' couches and stuff sometimes, without, you know, letting too much on, because I was still young. I was like 15, 16. And for whatever reason, like, you don't ever want to expose that stuff. Like, you never want to, like, I'm happy to talk about it now, but like at the time, it was like nobody can ever find out that, like, the people that are like contracted to love you don't. So you never want to let that on. And you know, everything is just a fucking mess. Because I know you don't want sympathy, and for whatever reason you want help, but you don't want to ask for it. I think it's just part of being maybe just a really fucking young stupid male or whatever. But it was just mortified that anyone would find out. So I did that instead for about a year and a half.
You still go to school?
I did, yeah.
Did you finish school?
When I was 16, yeah, we finished school in England when we were 16. So I finished year 11. Yeah. And then I went to college for like a year because I played a lot of basketball, and I just wanted to go and carry on playing basketball, and I had no idea what to do as well. And I was pretty fucking stupid. My brain like didn't turn on until I was like 22 or something. I swear to God, it was just off all the time. And so the government give you like an education maintenance allowance for going to college if you don't have any money. So I was getting like £20 or something a week at the time. I don't know what inflation has done to that, but
23.
And then I worked in a bar for a bit, and that's when I started making my own money. That was it lasted like a year and a half maybe.
So a year and a half of you on the street? Yeah.
I was always just not having like anywhere to stay, and it was like
fixed address.
I couldn't get a bank account or anything like that because of it. So I actually got a friend of mine's dad, when I let a lot sort of be known what's happening. His dad was a firefighter, and he got me a bank account by vouching for me.
Oh, sweet.
Because he had to sign some stuff. The bank account couldn't have anything, it was literally just a place to put money in and take it out.
Yeah, okay.
But then I banked with them for a while. So
it's
a tricky like thing, because they want your address and bills and stuff like that for you to open an account. I'm like, well, I'm like 16. How the fuck I can't get this stuff?
Yeah, true.
And it was the same with like my birth certificate and passport and stuff. Just couldn't get hold of any of that stuff because there was no one to ask or talk to about it. I ended up I got a passport like pre 9/11.
Okay.
And it had Kildare on it, which was a place in Ireland, which I assumed that I was born in because that's the stories that I'd heard. And then I went to renew it post 9/11, and the lady at the Irish Embassy in London went, no one's born in Kildare because there's no hospitals.
Oh.
I was like, okay.
Were you like, it was in the back of a car?
Yeah, I was like, maybe it was in like a car or something. Yeah. And she went, it's probably not though, so I'm just going to put
they
Dublin.
Don't have cars there.
Yeah, exactly. No one knows how to drive in Ireland, don't be silly. Probably back of a horse maybe. So she just put Dublin, so I was like, so apparently I was born in Dublin.
Sweet.
But I always think like, you can't say that no one's ever born in Kildare. Someone probably was.
100%.
Couldn't I have been the first?
well, there's been people born for thousands of years before hospitals.
Exactly.
So you'd be like, no, I was in a cave, right? And
I'd already ascertained that my parents didn't give a fuck, so maybe I just like fell out of her, and she went, "Oh, all right, stay there then."
Another
so
one.
you know.
yeah, fuck, yeah. So being homeless though, like, do you reckon that has an effect on your comedy? Like, obviously, it have to be pretty fucking tough.
It has an effect on everything, but in like a very positive way.
Yeah.
'Cause, like, that's if you can get past that, you just kind of feel like invincible almost.
Yeah.
That's probably not the right way of putting it, but you just feel like, what's the worst now that can happen?
True.
I thought the worst that could happen would that I would get killed in the home that I lived in. I thought that was what was going to happen. I would either get like starved, or they were going to like lock me up, or just fucking beat me to death. Like things that they did but hadn't done to the full extent at that point. So I thought like, well, this is going to happen, so I need to get away from it. And then I realized that even at that point, being homeless wasn't as bad as being in a house with those people. Like I was like, oh, this is way easier. Like it is actually easier. So it was quite it was more of an empowering thing. You just go like, we can do this.
Yeah,
we can do this. We can just, all we have to do now is just get a job and make our own money, and then we're on easy street for a bit. And obviously it wasn't that simple, but it was fairly easy.
well, I mean, you're alive to do it though, aren't you?
Yeah. I think it's funny, like I was talking to someone about this a little while ago. It was actually to Pinder. And one of the most like horrifying experiences also was one of the, now when I think about it, it's quite funny, and I do want to talk about it on stage, or at least find a way to talk about it on stage. But so much of this stuff I can't talk about because it's just too dark, and it's not nice to hear. But I was locked in a, like, I think it's quite typical here, but in England you have the staircase to your house, right? And then you have a little cupboard under the stairs, a bit like Harry Potter.
I was just about where Harry Potter lives.
Like where Harry Potter lives. So I had to live where Harry Potter lived for like a couple of days.
So you're the OG Harry Potter.
But there's no bed though. I was just locked in this little cupboard under the stairs. But there was a vacuum cleaner that had a face on it, and I just made friends with this vacuum cleaner with a face. I was very young. I was like 10 or something,
so you
10 or
went
11
from
years old.
Harry Potter to the Mighty Boosh.
Yeah.
Like,
because you started watching the Boosh, haven't you? I'm so happy. You watched the Boosh. It's great. But that might have been the start of like of being funny, because I remember like conversing with this fucking vacuum cleaner because I thought I was going to go insane.
Yeah,
so that was quite cool. Probably a little bit more like Wilson and Tom Hanks in Castaway.
Yeah.
But that might be where it started. Who knows? Everything happens for a reason, Tait. Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, true. I mean, it led us together.
It did. Look, it got us here. It didn't take long. It took I feel so bad about that as well. I was like, I can't today, mate.
It's I had plenty of time off, so it worked out quite well. I've got for multiple hours today.
Yeah.
And I've locked the door, so so you're staying here.
Still early as well.
I mean, that's obviously fucking horrible to hear that shit. You seem very well adjusted for. So obviously,
because it's done. It's just it's a thing that happened. Like everyone has their stories, and everyone like it's relatively.
Yeah, and you said you're 39.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Old as fuck.
So obviously it happened many moons ago, but still,
obviously like 30 years ago.
Yeah, you can still think it. Like, obviously, it fucking still burnt in your fucking brain.
Yeah, I mean, some things you don't forget. Whether it's, I don't think anything is like I don't think about anything. Oh, I wish I didn't fucking think about this, or I didn't have this, or even to a point. If I'm being quite honest, I'm glad that I went through pretty much all of it, because I think like, now you're in a place that you like, and you have a lot going on that you're happy about and proud of, and all the rest of it. And like, well, maybe it wouldn't have worked out that way. Yeah. Which I know is a bit of a fucking cliche thing to say, but I do think that sometimes. I just think it all leads to where you are now. Do you like it or do you not? Like, and the fact is, you do like it. Yeah. So, I don't really. I think the other thing as well is like with the Billy Connolly thing for sure was seeing the effect that he had on me, just in that one, me understanding that he'd gone through this awful childhood and he'd come out the other end of it, and I thought, well, you might be able to show other people. I haven't really been actively trying to do that, if I'm being quite honest. I have written about it. I've been, on my own podcast and social media and stuff, I was very like vocal about childhood and stuff. Yeah. But I do like to think that, even if one person hears it and they're going through shit, they go like, oh, he's all right now. He's okay.
Well, that's, I suppose, the main thing, that fucking you can address it and talk about it, and hopefully shed the light on fucking.
Yeah.
It sucks, but I mean there is a light at the end of
Just
the
sucks
tunnel.
now.
Yeah.
That's all. It just sucks now.
Yeah.
As in, like, when you're in it.
Yeah.
I know that I'm not like dismissing that a lot of people go through that sort of stuff and then will just carry that trauma with them like for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
And
True.
I know that's a big thing. I'm sure there's something different chemically or whatever with how we all process things.
You kind of got lucky in the way that you've been able to.
Yeah,
maybe not lucky, but
lucky, or just maybe just not as fucking smart or like switched on as some people that maybe overthink things, and I just leave things where they are.
Yeah, you went, they're done. It's done.
Yeah, it's done. It's done. I'm like, well, I'm not kidding anymore. That stuff is done. Like, you know, it's over now. Yep. No one's locking you anywhere now. Like, you can eat whenever you want. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So it's not really a thing. But.
Yeah. Well, that's fucking. Yeah, it's pretty crazy living on the street and stuff, but.
A little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones where, like, for me, I can't fathom that.
Yeah, well, luckily most people can't.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where you're just like, I did this, and I'm like, okay, sick.
But also, like, you know, you and I have discussed the whole traveling thing as well.
Yeah.
Like, I lived like a homeless person when I traveled as bit too, because I was like, we can do this, we know we can.
Yes.
So it was very different because I had a lot of money in the bank, and I was like, I knew I had a plan, you know, and I knew that if I really wanted to, you know, just go stay in whatever hotel you want.
Yeah.
But also, I don't know what you were like, but I would rock up to like a city at like 4 a.m. or something and be like, I'm not paying for a hostel ticket, because they'll charge me for the first couple of hours and then they'll charge me again for the next day. I'll just sleep at a bus station until like lunchtime or whatever time I can get woken up, and then I'll go and check in.
Yeah.
So that having that kind of maybe that like background, for want of a better word, was a good way to introduce me to that.
Urban
and also
camping.
Yeah. But also like not having, I'm not very materialistic. I never have been.
Yes.
So I think that's definitely an advantage. I will definitely put that in the tick column. So like, I don't really give a shit about stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe growing up that way and then going into traveling and stuff has always been a sound. In fact, up until recently, as in the last 5-6 years, like building a house and having a kid and stuff, like it didn't really have anything before that either.
Yeah, okay.
But mostly by design. I always figured like, well, you don't know where you're going to stay. Because when I got here, I was like, as in like which country I was going to stay in. I thought at some point you might have to go home, or you're going to have to, you know, go to some other country and see if you can make that work. If this doesn't work, because they do make it difficult.
Yes, I've heard
so
that.
I was just like, well, don't have too much shit then.
How long have you been in Australia?
About 10 years now.
Yeah. Okay. And that was after your travels in South America?
Yeah. It was actually the end of the last trip, and then I came here.
Yeah.
So I was like kind of tossing up what to do next, and I didn't really know. The guy that I was traveling with at the time, he went back to Scotland, and then he came back here a few months later. But I just came and just went, all right, let's see if I can make this work. But I'd already exhausted like the 2-year working holiday visa. Yeah. Because I did that in like, I did 1 year, and then I went off, and then I came back and then did the other year, and then went to South America. Yeah, okay. And then I was like, so what now? So I came back on like a tourist visa. Yeah. Oh, so you went here first, then South America, then back here, and then... Yeah, sort of like the... So do you know what I will do? Yeah. Because this has led perfectly into we're up to like 40 minutes. Okay. So we'll end it here for episode 38. Yeah. And then we'll go episode 39. We'll talk about your travels. Yeah, cool. And then we'll fucking go from there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week. And by that, I mean in 30 seconds when I click the button on and off. And so this has been episode 38. Thanks for having me. I'll see you again in 5 seconds. That's it.